Welcome to Inkari. It's time. I'm Kondus, your host. Today we are diving into the heart of South African politics. It's a fist battle between the two giants, the African National Congress, ANC, and the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, who will succeed in emancipating the marginalized masses. Stay tuned to find out. The ANC, founded way back in 1912, has been a cornerstone of South African politics. This party played a pivotal role in the struggle against apartheid, leading to Nelson Mandela's historic presidency in 1994. For decades, the ANC has been synonymous with the fight for freedom and equality in South Africa. However, the ANC's legacy has been tarnished by corruption scandals and economic challenges and internal divisions. Critics argue that the party has strayed from its original mission, leaving many South Africans feeling betrayed and disillusioned.
This is a motion that seeks to unite black people in South Africa. And ordinarily, if leadership was provided, we shouldn't be having this debate, because the land should have been returned into the hands of the rightful owners. We all know that the Dutch gangsters arrived here and took our land by force. And the struggle has since been about the return of the land into the hands of rightful owners. Yet those who went to negotiate on behalf of our people during the negotiations sold out this fundamental principle which constituted the struggle against colonialism. So those who claim to be radical enough and who want radical change today should actually be in the forefront of agreeing that this constitution must be changed to make it possible for our people to own the land. It can't be correct that the less than 10% of the population owns almost more than 75% of the land. And those people who own the land happen to be, in an acceptable language, private people like individuals, trusts, and companies. But when you search deep as to who are these people, these are white people who are still owning our land. We remain a conquered nation, even when we claim to have democracy. We remain a conquered nation because white monopoly capital still owns the means of production, and at the center of that is the land question. The dominance of white people, it cannot go away, particularly white supremacy, for as long as land is not returned into the hands of the people. We are the only country where we say revolution has taken place, yet those who were oppressing us have not lost anything after the revolution. We remain as we were even before 1994. So we are saying that black people, all of us, we need to unite and amend the constitution so that we can expropriate land without compensation. There is no white person who will understand that clarion call, because they don't know the pain of being landless. Only those who have gone through a passage of being landless will appreciate where we come from on the issue of the land. The issue of the land cannot be a campaigning issue. The issue of the land cannot be a rhetorical question. The issue of the land should be an issue of commitment. Honorable members, we have taken an oath here. And when we take an oath, we are simply saying we are loyal to the land. But how can we be loyal to the land which is in the hands of private individuals? We must be loyal to the land that belongs to us. Majority of our people say South Africa belongs to them. Yet they do not have proof to show that indeed South Africa belongs to them, because many of them do not even know how a title deed looks like. Many generations died without even knowing how a title deed looks like. It is only through the expropriation of land without compensation that our people will be the rightful owners of this country. We cannot keep on saying South Africa belongs to all who live in it, yet we have nothing to show. Today the ANC should come with the EFF. There is 6% available. We give it to you without no condition to amend the constitution and take the land. If you don't agree with us today, it means you are disagreeing with Honorable Ayanda Dlodlo. If we don't agree with us today, it means you don't agree with your outgoing president on the issue of expropriation of land without compensation, even the minister of land. This is a matter that can unite black people. This is a matter that all of us should stand together and isolate white monopoly capital. This is a matter that can say to us, this is a genuine call which we as black people can identify with. So the ANC 6% shiona relefayona arjel lefase relimeng arjel lefase rage di feme arjel lefase re fe batho ba rena ba be le magae ba be le a place to call home. Honorable Nzimande, we have already started taking the land. If you vote against this, it's a waste of time. We are already giving our people the land, and we are not ashamed of that. People of South Africa, where you see a beautiful land, take it, it belongs to you.
Enter the Economic Freedom Fighters. Founded in 2013 by former ANC Youth League leader Julius Malema, the EFF positioned itself as a radical alternative, advocating for economic emancipation, land redistribution, and the nationalization of key industries. The ANC and the EFF both aim to address inequality and uplift the marginalized, but their approaches differ significantly. The ANC promotes a mixed economy, social grants, and gradual reform, while the EFF demands a more immediate radical changes, such as expropriation of land without compensation and state control of industries.
The ANC does not believe in socialism. We are a broad national movement which combines various strands of political thought, ranging from the far right to the extreme left, embracing liberal and conservative views. And if you study our basic policy document, the Freedom Charter, you will find that it is based on free enterprise. And the land, for example, there is no nationalization of the land. And the land is subject to individual ownership. And in actual fact, when the Freedom Charter is applied, when the provisions of the Freedom Charters are applied, capitalism amongst Africans will flourish as never before. I wrote an article in 1956 to this effect, to say private enterprise, when a democratic system is introduced, will flourish in this country as never before. And the only exception is a clause which calls for the nationalization of the mines, the financial institutions, and monopolies. That is done because of the conditions in the country. It's a clause which was actually adopted in the constitution of the present ruling National Party in the 40s. So there is nothing unique in that. There is no element of socialism in the policy of the ANC, whatever may happen in the future.
My fellow South Africans, you heard it from the man himself. This is the reason why, the ANC is dilly-dallying on the question of the land. There won't be land redistribution under the ANC government.
Because it doesn't really do very much. The fact is that if Mandela had a Marxist orientation, which he certainly did, I would say, for some time, that was dispelled when he emerges from prison 30 years or so later, where he immediately, in a major, his first address to our people, he commits himself to the socialist inclined Freedom Charter and the clause that is quite emphatic, although it doesn't use the word nationalization, but says that what we committed to is the control of the heights of the economy, the mines, the banks, the monopoly industry, and it's inconceivable that that will change. Right. 2 years later, he shows a totally different view on the economy by going to Davos, 1992, July, very impressed, clearly, as he was in South Africa, by the voice of monopoly capital. I'm not saying he bows down to it, but he's certainly impressed in terms of what they're able to do, and comes back from Davos and says that for growth of the economy, we've got to look to the private sector. And he says that it's clear that if we go for radical socialist approach, he uses the term nationalization, we're not going to get the foreign investment from the capitalist world that we need to make the country run and to overcome our poverty. So it's a total change. And this is where I say our Faustian pact or bargain stems from. It stems not just from Mandela, who is making this announcement and is following this through, but Joe Slovo, Ronnie Kasrils, the left wing of the ANC, which was predominant, our whole Communist Party. There's no real debate or argument about this. Mandela really is the icon, which he shouldn't have been, for his fellow revolutionaries.
Let's take the land and give it to our people. So I say, I belong to the ANC. Who, according to the ANC in South Africa, is not our people? There's nobody who's not our people. That's ANC policy. Somebody else's policy might be very different.
Something you are going to give the land to our people. Now please tell us who is not our people in this country. Who is our people? Who is not our people? Who are you going to give the land to? You take it from whom, and to whom are you going to give it?
Both parties face substantial challenges. The ANC's struggle with corruption and governance has eroded public trust. Meanwhile, the EFF's aggressive rhetoric and confrontational tactics have raised concern about political stability and economic viability. The EFF's policies resonate with many young, disenfranchised voters, but there is a question of whether their radical proposals are feasible in practice. The ANC, despite its flaws, still represents a significant portion of the electorate who value its historical role and more moderate approach. So, who will emerge victorious in the battle to emancipate the marginalized masses? The answer lies in the hands of South Africa's voters. Will they continue to support the ANC, hoping for reform and stability? Or will they turn to the EFF, seeking radical change and immediate action? One thing is certain though. The future of South Africa's democracy will be shaped by the ongoing struggle between these two political giants. The road to true emancipation is complex, and the voices of the people will ultimately determine the path forward. I have a feeling I've confused you more. You are not yet decided. The other part of you want to stay with the old, the tried and tested. But the other part want to try the unknown. But it's risky. Because of that, let me share some clips to make you make that leap. Or you stay with the tried and tested. Take a look.
All of us there in the NEC have our smallanyana skeletons, and we don't want to take out all skeletons out, because there will be, or hell will break loose.
When Cyril got elected CR17, he lost the election, but at the very last minute, with funding organised by Stephen Kossoff from a lot of good South Africans, allowed Cyril to bribe David Mabuza to cross the floor and win. Okay?
Absolutely. When it comes to the the NHI bill. Absolutely. With the NHI, we do have a position of the party that we've submitted countless times, that we've debated in Parliament as well. We are sadly overnumbered. We are outnumbered, in portfolio committees.
But very soon, that will be the thing of the past.
Yeah. And we're looking forward to that day, because then we can deliver a one-tier system in its true sense. Then we can build a real public health system, right? So, for instance, there's a clause in the NHI, right, that dictates that a person must go to their nearest point of contact in regards to healthcare. And our argument was that, well, then that leaves us in the same situation we are in right now. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because those in cosmopolitan areas, that's where the private clinics and the private hospitals are. They get access to the private hospitals. But you and me, who live in Mamelodi, you who lives in Soshanguve, you who lives at Tembisa, you must start at that very same clinic that you are subjected to right now. Engena ma nurse, engena ma doctor, engena ma ambulance. And then the money that's meant to empower these public healthcare sectors will now be redirected to the private sector. It's a very atrocious looting system, I think, that the country must be aware of. Because I think the most dangerous things that we've seen, or rather that I've observed in my time in Parliament, is that the establishment steals the language of the revolution to push its own aspirations. So now they know we are speaking about strengthening public healthcare. They know we're speaking about healthcare and accessing to quality healthcare. They know we're speaking about universal healthcare coverage, right? And they present an idea that empowers the establishment, that empowers the private sector, but using the language that we want to hear. So they say now you'll be able to have access to all the hospitals, which is not the case. You will still have to wake up in the morning and go to Mamelodi West Clinic if you've got flu, and go there for a MXN. Because then you must come back the following day just for a flu. And then other interventions as well will also be harder to get, because even the referral system is not tightened enough.
Oh, yes.
You get what I'm saying? It's called the referral system. So the doctor at your nearest, the clinic at your nearest point of contact, the nearest healthcare facility, is the one that must refer you. It means you must still interact with the nearest. So people are under the impression that they are going to ditch the public healthcare sector and rush to the private healthcare sector. It's not the case. Those who are in metropolitan areas, those who are in the suburban areas, those who are in elite places will have direct access to the private healthcare sector. But the rest of us in townships, in villages, will still be subjected to the public healthcare sector.
There are only two models that the ANC has introduced since 1994, which is the special partnership model and the market-related agrarian reform. And again, it goes back to the point that the ANC is in contradiction with the demand for land in South Africa. Because even when you look at the special partnership model that they're talking about, it happened in Limpopo, I think in the Livubu region. It was a huge disaster. There were a lot of third parties that were involved. In fact, the majority of the figures that we're talking about when it comes to the money that has been used for land redistribution is money that was used for consultants and third parties, not necessarily money that was spent on the actual realization of land being transferred back into its rightful owners. So the models are not working, because you've got a clearly socialist intention, but a policy-driven ANC that is neoliberal and cannot it cannot, by its greatest efforts, contradict itself to that point. So that's why they are failing. There's no model that they're going to introduce except the simple model that the EFF is advocating for, which is that the state must become the sole custodian of land. In that way, we are able, as the state, to make sure that we introduce land audits. For example, that Vuyo might not need land, but Vuyo has a situation where he's settling in an urban center and property rates are very expensive. What happens to that? Squatter camps arise, townships are starting to overflow. We experience a land deficit. So the land audit of the EFF says we're not going to deal with the land question holistically like this, because it's not a universal thing. It's not just every factor of land is about that. You know, there's land for production, there's land for commercial use, there's land for settlement. The EFF even says in its manifesto that we are going to have what is called a pre-settlement agreement. So if we give land to a certain area, the pre-settlement agreement must be then abided by, that we are not going to build maybe houses, you're not going to build this. Then we are going to have a post-settlement agreement. So we're able to say the land that we're talking about, what use is it? Not this, obtuse approach of the ANC that land is just one big bulk of a policy and we're going to throw ideas and models at it and hope that it fixes it.
I'm an EFF member. Of course, I believe in expropriation of land without compensation for equitable redistribution.
I'm an EFF member. Of course, I believe in nationalizations of banks, mines, and other strategic sectors of the economy.
I'm an EFF member. Of course, I believe in building state and government capacity.
I'm an EFF member. Of course, I believe in free quality education, healthy care, houses, and sanitation.
I'm an EFF member. Of course, I believe in massive protected industrial development in order to create millions of sustainable jobs, including the introduction of a minimum wage in order to close the wage gap between the rich and the poor.
Of course, I'm an EFF member. I believe in massive investment in the development of the African economy.
I'm an EFF member. Of course, I believe in an open, accountable, and corrupt-free government and society without the fear of victimization by state agencies.
EFF members, of course on the 29th of May we are going to vote for the EFF. We are voting for land and jobs now. Stop load shedding!
Sanibonani, igama lami nguKhwezi waKamhlongo, ngifike about 6 years at LM. So guys, can we all please vote for ANC kulo nyaka ngo-29 May 2024? As I am also going to be voting for ANC. ANC sizenzele izinto eziningi ezinhle. Sakhele ikole, sakhele imigwaqo, sakhele ibhedlela, and it's still gonna do more. Let's just keep on voting for it.
Hello everyone, my name is Zandi Lungubeni and I have just voted for the ANC. I believe as a young person of this country that the ANC is the only party that has the best interests of the youth and all South Africans at heart. So please do the right thing and vote ANC.
What do you think? Will the ANC reclaim its legacy? Or will the EFF's revolutionary vision capture the hearts of the nation? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more in-depth analysis of global politics. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay informed and engaged.